It was a failure. The bomb had missed. The assassins had scattered. For a fleeting moment on a sunny June day in Sarajevo, it seemed history would proceed as planned. For a moment, it seemed Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, would leave the city unharmed. But then, a chauffeur made a single wrong turn. A mistake. In that moment, the 20th century was set on its catastrophic course. This is the story of how one wrong turn didn't just lead to the death of an archduke, but helped trigger a conflict that would cause tens of millions of deaths, the collapse of 4 empires, and the birth of the modern world in blood and fire. The powder keg of Europe. To understand how one wrong turn could have such devastating consequences, you have to understand the world it happened in. Europe in 1914 wasn't a peaceful continent enjoying a long summer. It was a powder keg, packed with tension, rivalry, and a complex web of alliances just waiting for a spark. This wasn't a world of stability, it was a world of ambition and deep-seated anxiety. At the heart of this tension were the great empires, all locked in a struggle for dominance. The German Empire was a new and rising industrial power, challenging Great Britain's naval and economic supremacy. France, still bitter over its defeat in the Franco-Prussian War decades earlier, longed to reclaim its lost territories. The Russian Empire saw itself as the great protector of the Slavic peoples, a role that put it on a direct collision course with another, older empire, Austria-Hungary. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was a sprawling, multi-ethnic state in decline. Ruled by the aging Emperor Franz Joseph, it was a patchwork of Germans, Hungarians, Czechs, Poles, and, crucially, South Slavs. It was in the Balkans, a region seething with nationalism, that the empire's fragility was most obvious. In 1908, Austria-Hungary formally annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina, a territory with a large Serb population that the neighboring Kingdom of Serbia had hoped to bring into its own orbit. This act enraged Serbian nationalists, who dreamed of uniting all South Slavs into a single nation, Yugoslavia. This dream was a direct threat to the very existence of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. A secret, ultra-nationalist society known as the Black Hand was formed within the Serbian military, dedicated to achieving this goal by any means necessary, including political assassination. The region became known as the Balkan Powder Keg, a place where a single incident could ignite a much wider conflict. All it needed was a match. The target and the assassins that match would be lit on June 28, 1914. The target was Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. Franz Ferdinand was a complex and contradictory figure. He wasn't particularly well liked, known for his formidable temper and seen as a hardliner by many. And yet, he was also a reformer. He held a surprising vision for the empire's future, a federalized system that would give the Slavic peoples greater autonomy. This idea made him a threat to just about everyone. To hardliners in Vienna, he was a dangerous radical. To Serbian nationalists, his plans were terrifying. If he succeeded in pacifying the Slavs within the empire, the dream of a greater Serbia would be dead forever. He had to be eliminated. The Archduke's visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, was, at the very least, incredibly insensitive. He came as Inspector General of the Armed Forces to observe military maneuvers. The date of his visit was June 28, a day known as Vidovdan, a day of immense historical significance for Serbs, marking a medieval battle and symbolizing national pride and mourning. The visit was widely seen as an insult. Waiting for him was a group of young, desperate men. They were members of a revolutionary group called Young Bosnia, made up of students and radicals fueled by nationalist fervor. While they were the ones on the ground, the weapons and training came from the Black Hand. Their leader in the plot was a 19-year-old named Gavrilo Princip. Their plan was simple and brutal: kill the Archduke and strike a blow for Slavic freedom. The human tragedy here is often lost in the geopolitical shuffle. Franz Ferdinand was traveling with his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg. Theirs was a genuine love story. She was a Bohemian noblewoman from the House of Chotek, but was considered far below his station. To marry her, he had to renounce the right of their children to the throne. This visit to Sarajevo was a rare occasion where Sophie could appear officially by his side, as the strict Viennese court protocol didn't apply in a provincial capital. The day history held its breath the morning of June 28, 1914, was sunny and clear. Security for the visit was shockingly lax, with only about 120 police officers for a nearly 4-mile route. The Archduke and Sophie traveled in an open-topped Graf and stiff touring car, making them perfect targets. 6 assassins were positioned along the pre-announced motorcade route, which ran alongside the Miljacka River. The first conspirator failed to act. The second did the same. Then, as the motorcade passed the third assassin, a man named Nedeljko Kabranović, he took his chance. He threw a bomb at the Archduke's car. But the plan failed. The bomb had a 10-second fuse. The driver saw it, accelerated, and the device hit the folded-back convertible top, bounced onto the street, and exploded under the next car. It injured several officers and onlookers, but the Archduke and his wife were unharmed. Kabranović swallowed a faulty cyanide pill and leaped into the shallow river, where he was quickly caught. The motorcade, now in chaos, sped away towards the town hall. The remaining assassins, including Gavrilo Princip, melted back into the crowd, believing their chance was lost. At the town hall, a shaken and furious Franz Ferdinand went ahead with his planned speech. Afterwards, his plans changed. He decided to abandon the rest of the tour and instead visit the hospital to see the officers wounded in the bombing. It was a decision born of duty, and it would prove fatal. The moment itself here is where history pivots. A decision was made to take a different route to the hospital to avoid the crowded city center. The motorcade was supposed to proceed straight along the main road, the Apple Quay, instead of turning right onto Franz Joseph Street as originally planned. But in the confusion, a critical error occurred. Nobody told the drivers. The first car in the motorcade, unaware of the change, made the scheduled right turn onto Franz Joseph Street. The Archduke's driver, Leopold Loiko, automatically followed it. From the seat next to him, General Oskar Potiorek, the governor of Bosnia, shouted, "What is this? This is the wrong way. We're supposed to go straight." Loiko slammed on the brakes. The large, heavy car stalled. He tried to reverse, but the gears were clumsy. The car came to a dead stop, right on the corner. And on that exact street corner, standing outside a delicatessen, was Gavrilo Princip. He had likely given up. The plot had failed. And now, through sheer, unbelievable chance, his target had stopped directly in front of him, less than 5 feet away. There's a popular myth that Princip had just stopped to buy a sandwich. The idea that a world war was started over a snack is compelling, but it's almost certainly untrue. Historical records don't support it. The truth is simpler, and perhaps even more chilling. Princip was just there, a defeated assassin given an impossible second chance. He didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, raised his FN Model 1910 pistol, and fired 2 shots. The shots heard around the world. The first bullet struck Franz Ferdinand in the neck. The second hit Sophie in the abdomen. At first, no one seemed to realize how severe the injuries were. Sophie collapsed onto her husband. According to one account, the Archduke's last coherent words were a plea, "Sophie, Sophie. Don't die, live for our children." As blood poured from his mouth, he was asked if he was in pain. He reportedly murmured, "It is nothing," before losing consciousness. Sophie was dead on arrival at the governor's residence. The Archduke died minutes later. Gavrilo Princip was captured immediately. He, too, tried to take his own life but was stopped. At just 19, he was a few weeks shy of his 20th birthday, the minimum age for the death penalty under Habsburg law. Instead, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He would die of tuberculosis in his cell just a few years later, never seeing the horrific world his actions helped unleash. The dominoes fall. The assassination was not the sole cause of World War I, it was the trigger. It was the spark that lit the vast, pre-existing powder keg. The month that followed, known as the July Crisis, was a cascade of threats and failed diplomacy. Convinced of Serbia's involvement, Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany's infamous blank check of unconditional support, issued an impossibly harsh ultimatum to Serbia, designed to be rejected. When Serbia accepted most but not all of the terms, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914. Now, the intricate system of alliances clicked into place like a series of dominoes. Russia, allied with Serbia, began to mobilize its massive army. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and its ally, France. When Germany invaded neutral Belgium to outflank the French army, Great Britain declared war on Germany. Within weeks, the great powers of Europe were locked in a conflict of unimaginable scale. The war would last 4 years. While not new, the machine gun was used on a horrific, unprecedented scale alongside new weapons like poison gas and tanks. The war claimed an estimated 15 to 22 million lives, with 9 to 11 million of them being military personnel. It led to the collapse of the Russian, German, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian empires, redrawing the map of the world. History isn't a straight line. It's a chaotic, unpredictable storm of human decisions, political pressures, and pure chance. On that day in Sarajevo, all three came together. The political pressure was the fragile state of Europe. The human decision was the act of the assassins. And the chance was a driver, confused in a moment of crisis, making a single, fatal wrong turn that put the world on the path to war. If you want to explore more of these pivotal moments where history turned on a dime, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into the past.